Shut up and sit down.
Welcome, my friends. I am not Obi-Wan Kenobi. I am your host, Simon, and this is a little series that we call Why We Love It, where we take movies that are highly divisive and we talk about the top 5 things that we love about those movies. Enjoy! Today we are about to start our epic journey through the Star Wars universe with Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. There's a lot of criticism floating around about the prequel Star Wars movies. But remember, for those of us who were around during Return of the Jedi, when that movie aired, George Lucas went on the record to say, "This was a trilogy, that's all you're getting, there is no more Star Wars, ever."
I sense much fear in you.
So when 1999 came around and we saw footage of Qui-gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi on the Trade Federation ship and they ignited their lightsabers for the first time, it was pretty epic. It felt like the Jedi were back.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate.
And we had some awesome scenes in the very beginning of that movie. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi slicing their way through battle droids. We had Qui-Gon Jinn stabbing his lightsaber into the blast doors and melting his way through.
Uh-oh. Blaster.
So talking of lightsaber battles, I remember watching the prequels and then rolling into the original trilogy and thinking, the lightsaber battles in the original trilogy feel a little slow and old and just don't have the flair that they did in the prequels. And that probably makes sense. You know, Obi-Wan Kenobi was an old man in the original trilogy. Darth Vader was an old man. Luke didn't really have any training. But when you look at the expanded universe where you're hearing about all these different lightsaber styles and the amount of skill required for a Jedi to learn the lightsaber, it was kind of awesome to see those lightsaber skills modeled in The Phantom Menace. There's a ton of fight choreography and thought that goes into those lightsaber battles, and it really shows. Let's talk about the casting of this movie for a second. So, of course, you have the amazing Liam Neeson playing Qui-Gon Jinn, and I'm sure that you would agree with me when I say that he was taken away too soon, but better to love a character and lose them than never to have loved them at all. Now, another obvious one is Ewan McGregor as the incredible Obi-Wan Kenobi. To me, he is one of the highest points of the entire prequel trilogy. He's incredible. And what I love is young Ewan McGregor in Phantom Menace with his Alec Guinness-style impression. His accent and voice is just on point.
The boy is dangerous. They all sense it. Why can't you?
Every adventure needs a villain. And although we have Sidious lurking around in the background, our primary villain in this movie is Darth Maul. From the moment I saw Darth Maul in the trailer wielding his double-bladed lightsaber, I was so intrigued. And again, he was snatched away from us too soon. But hey, go watch the Clone Wars. He's back. He's got spider legs. One thing you may not know about Darth Maul is that while he's played by martial artist Ray Parks, who performs all of the stunts as Darth Maul, he's actually voiced by Peter Serafinowicz, and it was felt that Ray Parks' physique was perfect for Darth Maul, whereas Peter Serafinowicz's voice perfectly fitted the dark, somber tone of the character.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
You may remember in 2011, just before Disney bought the Star Wars franchise, there was an effort to recreate all of the Star Wars movies and release them in 3D. The only one that actually got made in 3D was Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace. And I went to see this at my local theatre, and I was blown away by how great the podrace scene was. I hadn't really picked up on that the first time around. I loved the fact that the racing felt very real and raw. There was a frantic pace pace to it. I think the music was kind of subdued behind the scenes, and you could just hear the roar of the engines, and it felt dangerous. I was really invested in that, especially while watching it in 3D. For me personally, episode 1 feels like a long build-up to a huge payoff at the end. And you may be bored by the Gungans fighting the droids, that's fine. But don't forget that at the same time, within the Palace of Naboo, you have Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi dueling against Darth Maul. And to me, that's one of my favorite moments in any Star Wars movie ever. I love the moment where Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul are separated by these force shields. And Darth Maul is pacing and snorting and angrily just grunting at Qui-Gon, slashing his lightsaber against the shields. He just cannot wait to go and fight him. And Qui-Gon sits down on the floor, quietly meditating, at one with the Force. Just an awesome example of the differences between the Sith and the Jedi. Of course, then the fight kicks off, and you've got Obi-Wan Kenobi trapped in the shields, not able to get out. You've got Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul battling against each other to the death with their lightsabers. Just epic. But while all of that's going on, in space you've got young Anakin in his Naboo starfighter, flying, fighting against vulture droids and destroying the Trade Federation ship. And at the same time as that, in the palace, you've got Padme Amidala, you've got General Panaka fighting alongside for the freedom of the people of Naboo. And don't forget the end to the third act that really pulls on my heartstrings. You've got Qui-Gon Jinn's funeral. You've got young Anakin Skywalker being taken away from his mother, who's left as a slave on Tatooine, by Obi-Wan Kenobi, after Yoda grudgingly allows him to take an apprentice. And that sets the scene for the rest of the Star Wars saga. Again, I am not Obi-Wan Kenobi. I am Simon, your host from Nerd Safari. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and we will see you next time for Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Peace out, my friends, and may the Force be with you.
Shut up and sit down.